For everything from video games, comic books, films, and beyond, you're listening to the Geek Guy Podcast with your host, Albert Albanese, here on the Slam Sessions Podcast Network. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Geek Guy Podcast, right here on the Slam Sessions Podcast Network. I'm your host, Albert Albanese, and this week I'm flying solo. Unfortunately, Tom couldn't make it, so I guess I got to do it all by myself. This week is going to be fun. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be really cool. We're going to talk about, obviously, three of the biggest things that have come out over the past few days. Let's face it, if you've been living under a rock, you've definitely seen Star Wars, The Last Jedi. The new trailer came out, and it may only be a teaser, but the word started spreading like wildfire. In only a couple of days, it's got millions of hits, and I'm gonna break it down a little bit, start talking about it, let you know what I think about it, because I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty damn cool. Two, if you guys haven't seen it, there is a new trailer with on Freeform. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of the name of the station because it's kind of new. But there's a new trailer out for a Marvel Freeform show, which is looking really, really awesome. We're going to dig into that. I'm also going to talk a little bit tonight about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from last night. So if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, some major stuff goes down. All that and more today. So please keep yourself tuned in. Get yourself, ready, set up, grab some popcorn, and just sit back and enjoy the show. And as always, please leave me some comments. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys want to hear. And let me know if there's something that you guys want me to talk about. Or, hey, let me know if you guys want to be a guest. Maybe we can arrange that too. All that and more coming up right here on the Slam Sessions Podcast Network and, of course, the Geek Guy Podcast. So, as we dig into a little bit more of everything, we're going to start off by talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't know if you guys are really big fans out there, but for me, it's personally one of my favorite shows. In all honesty, Marvel has done a fantastic job in making sure that that their TV series is kind of taken care of. Now, we know about the Netflix universe. We know about how good most of those shows are. Maybe, a lot of people might have a little bit of mixed reviews on the Iron Fist show. That's something that I'm not going to really dig into because, to be honest with you, I haven't gotten a chance to really dig into it fully yet. But once I do, I'll get back to you on how I feel about it. But what I do have to say is that for a few years, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was awesome, slipped for a little bit, but man, this season has been unbelievable. And I gotta say, I really honestly believe that this past episode, what they're doing with these episodes now, where they're going with everything, is really making you start to think that, this is going to be one of the top shows that Marvel's ever going to do. I'm going to be honest. I was a big fan of a lot of the characters on the show. I'm a little upset. I'm happy to see some people come back. I'm a little upset that some people haven't come back yet. I'm really, really excited to see that this week, spoiler alert again if you haven't seen it, Antoine Triplet, better known as Trip, came back. He's in the framework. He's helping out the underground S.H.I.E.L.D., and he's kind of coming back and kicking ass again, and that's awesome. I was a big fan of Trip's character. I was really upset when they killed him off with the Terrigen explosion. I really thought that he was going to be a vital member of the team, and unfortunately that didn't happen. I'm still mega pumped that Grant Ward is back. I love Ward. He's such a great character, and I like that this time this is his almost like his redemption. We get to see Grant Ward come in and be the Grant Ward that we thought he was in the first season. And, they've really done a lot of stuff with Ward to keep him involved with him being bad and stuff like that. The whole thing with Hive, a lot of Hive jokes made throughout the episodes, which has been really cool. But I really like the fact that Grant Ward is coming back, and he is Grant Ward. He's the guy who we saw in the first season, in the beginning part, who was a good guy and looked like he was just like this really big badass. He was my favorite character on the show. I really love the way that they've brought him back in. What I'm really disappointed about, and this is a huge spoiler, seeing, first of all, before I get into that, seeing May come back to the right side, dropping that Terrigen, making Daisy change, giving her powers in the framework was awesome. seeing how the Ada has this, great control over everybody, and just seeing Fitz, man, it kills me because I love Fitz. He was my favorite character on the show, and now he, with him doing what he's doing, man, it sucks. It really kind of sucks. I was a really big fan of Fitz's character, so I'm just, it's hard. It's hard for me to look and see that, and to see him being a bad guy, because in all honesty, I just can't look at him that way. Now, with that being said, this week was hard. It was a rough week, just simply because we saw the death of one of the newest characters on the show. Again, spoiler alert for everybody who might not know. Inside the framework, if you die, you die. You're dead. If you're being held outside the framework, there are consequences to being in the framework. And Agent Jeffrey Mace, the Patriot, died being a hero, sacrificed his life for a kid. He was saving a kid's life. He was the person that he always wanted to be, and he went out the way that I think he would have wanted to go out. And I think that the Jeffrey Mace character was awesome. I think he did a great job. I think this is one of those situations where they introduced a new character, and we didn't dig him at first, and then we finally got to dig into it, and then we did dig him. So I'm really, really cool. I think it was really cool that Mace was on the show, but I think it's really upsetting that unfortunately Mace is no longer with us. And like I mentioned before, it's also really cool to see that Agent May came back to the good side. The ending of this season is going to be really, really cool. I'm really hoping that this isn't the last season of Agents of the S.H.I.E.L.D., even though it kind of is rumored that it might be. But I really have been enjoying the way that this season has been going so far. So, with that being said, we have, I think we've kind of dug into that a little bit. I don't want to, go crazy about it. I know maybe there are some people here that that aren't really big fans of the show. So what we're going to do is we're going to dig into really what I consider the meat and potatoes of this podcast, the Star Wars trailer. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to kind of play the trailer in the background and kind of talk about it, and then dig a little bit more into it. So if you hear something in the background, that's the actual trailer being played, and I'm kind of just going to break it down a little bit. So here we go, a little creepy opening music. We see Daisy Ridley, Rey, clutching a rock, the Lucasfilm logo. You can see that already they're starting off with some drama. And you can hear, I'm going to talk a little bit about the voices in the background of this trailer, which are a little bit more important than I think a lot of people have noticed. Just breathe. Really good imagery. We can see that, it's kind of really beautiful the way that they've shot this. It looks like Rey is kind of opened and, kind of like hanging out with Luke, being trained. We see Vader's burning mask on the floor. So what does that mean for Kylo? And, some decimated artifacts. Rey might, actually maybe be trying to figure out what is going on. We see Rey being trained by Luke. Obviously, we know this is coming out right around Christmas. Some really cool planes. They're hitting the ground. Some red paint kind of spilling out the back of them. We see that Finn is still catatonic. BB-8 and Poe Dameron are trying to, rush in to rescue the day. The Millennium Falcon still flies. It looks like there could be a lightsaber battle between Kylo and Rey. We see the back of Luke and R2. Some TIE fighters and the new Y-wings, flipping around, and Kylo Ren saying, "I think it's time for to eradicate the Jedi, to end them all." All in all, for basically a 2-minute trailer, there's not much to go on. But in all honesty, this is one of the coolest trailers that I've seen in a little while. I like that they teased us. They just said, hey, look, you want something? Boom, let's throw it at you, and here it is right in your face. Listen to those voices in the background. What they actually are audio from some of the old Star Wars films. It really looks like they're going to harken back to the past, go into their roots, really try to, bring this film back into being, like eclipsed into the Star Wars franchise. It's not just going to be a Skywalker film. This is going to encompass, a lot of different characters in the Star Wars universe. Some of those voices that we heard were ones of Princess Leia. We heard a voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi. We heard Yoda. These were, lines from those characters throughout this, these series of films. So they're really digging deep into showing, the history between, the history of these films. I really, really think that Star Wars, it's just a global phenomenon. It's never going to be, there's never going to be a time where we sit back and we look at Marvel and we see... Star Wars, and we don't see them as one of those things that, has just eclipsed being the Star Wars franchise, and it's ingrained in pop culture. I love the way that this trailer was presented. I love that we don't get much. I love there's not a lot of Luke. There's not a lot of Rey. There's barely any Finn. We don't see Princess Leia. There's a lot of question marks. Where are some of these people going? What are they doing? What are they fighting for? What's the main cause of this story? What's the crux? And nobody knows. And that's what's really cool to me. We know that there's going to look like there's going to be an eradication of the Jedi. We know that it looks like it's going to be one of these situations where the Jedi just might possibly be, beaten and, erased from existence, and Kylo Ren might be the one to do it. And maybe we find out who Rey's parents are, and maybe we find out why Kylo maybe want to go after somebody like Luke, who was his teacher at one point before he turned to the dark side. Maybe did Luke screw around with the dark side a little bit? We know that was something that happened in the books after everything happened with the now episode 6, I guess you can say. There's a lot of question marks, but all in all, that trailer teased me, and it made me sit back and think, well, 2 minutes, you got me hooked. I can't wait for the next one. Screw it, I can't wait for the film. So please let me know what you guys think. Comment, leave me some messages. Let me know what you guys thought of the trailer. Next, another big trailer came out. I mentioned it before. Marvel's Cloak and Dagger was just released. This was really an interesting release. I know there wasn't like a hard amount of stuff that had been written about Cloak and Dagger. We knew it was in production. We had some actors casted, and that was pretty much the crux of it. There was really wasn't much else. But they dropped this trailer out of nowhere. And, it's good. They show the backgrounds of these characters. They show, tragedy. It shows that they have powers. It shows a little bit about what their powers do. But there's not much to go on. And for it being a minute and 48 seconds, a teaser trailer, it was good for what it was. But in all honesty, I wasn't sitting there like ultra impressed. I thought they did a good job at doing a trailer, but it didn't make me think, man, I need to watch this show. I'll admit that there are a lot of superhero shows that I just don't have time to watch. I haven't watched the show Powerless on NBC. I haven't seen Preacher. There's another one that's escaping my brain right now, which I haven't seen. I've only seen the crossover episodes of Supergirl. I'm not really, sometimes it's just not enough time in the day to watch everything. Maybe one day there will be. And, with this podcast and me having to cover a lot of this stuff, maybe I really will start and really try to start getting this stuff on time. But I got to say, this is one of those that I don't know if I'm going to watch or I'm going to skip. Maybe I'll give it the first episode a try, and I'll see how everything works out with it. But, it's on Freeform, which used to be ABC Family. So that kind of makes me think there's a lot of stuff that they might not even be able to get away with on there. It doesn't look gritty. It doesn't look Marvel. It looks like somebody made it and threw a Marvel sticker on the front of it. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to sit back and to judge something when, in all honesty, I've only seen a little brief, part of it, and I don't, honestly, I don't really know what to think of it yet. I think that it looks okay. I don't think it looks terrible. I don't think that I'm sitting here and going, oh, well, that's not going to be good. I think it's good. I just don't think it's great. It didn't hook me as much as I think everything else kind of hooked me. But it's going to be interesting. You know, hopefully we'll get a little bit more time invested into it. We'll see a little bit more, and we'll see where it goes. And, you know, I mean, in talking about TV shows, what I'm also going to dig into is the fact that The Flash and Arrow have been on point recently. I'm not going to dig too deep into them, but I wanted to mention that a little bit because, this is kind of, we're nearing the end of the show, and what I've been doing, I usually have Tom here, and our new segment was going to be that we were going to show what the comic of the week was, but unfortunately Tom's not here. I have to give my own comic of the week, and I'm stupid and didn't bring it. So this week, the comic of the week is The Green Arrow Year One by Andy Diggle. Such a cool story, a really good origin story for the Arrow character, for Oliver Queen, where he came from, why he did what he did. It's very much, similar to the TV show. If you're really looking, you're a big Arrow fan, you want to get into comics and you're looking to, get into something, read Year One, man. I'm telling you, it's a really cool read, and I think you guys will like it. So, with that being said, that's basically the show. Apparently, I just don't like to talk a lot by myself when Tom's not here to help me break things down. So next week, I'm going to try to have Tom back in here. I'm also going to try to have some more guests on all my podcasts because it seems like that's what everybody likes. So, but for sometimes maybe I got to fly solo, and if I have to, I will because I can. Please go out, support your local comic book shops. Go out and support your favorite, your favorite comic book, outlets in any way, TV, movies, everything. And, in closing, real quick, I just wanted to briefly touch on the fact that the Guardians of the Galaxy had their kind of like their opening red carpet deal last night. A lot of really cool pictures, and the reviews coming from people, they can't really say anything yet, but the reviews coming out without spoiling anything is, holy sweet crap, this movie is going to be awesome. I don't doubt it. I'm a huge Chris Pratt fan. I'm huge into the Guardians. I think that they've really cemented themselves into the Marvel cinematic universe as one of the heavy hitters. And this is one of those movies that were, kind of really, really, big into being look forward to. So with that being said, keep your eyes peeled. Only a couple of weeks and we got Guardians. So I know we're all excited for that. We can't wait for that. Of course, I'm going to do a full review. I'm probably going to put up a video on the Facebook, which I didn't even plug this week, where you can find us. It's on facebook.com/the Slam Sessions Podcast Network. And, of course, at the Slam Sessions on Twitter. Follow me, and I'm going to post my non-spoiler review about the movie. I might get a chance to maybe see it with Tom. Maybe we'll both do something a little bit together. If not, maybe I'll have another special guest there for you. If not, it might just be me. So keep your eyes peeled. I'll see you guys next week, and have a good one, man. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to the Geek Guy Podcast right here on the Slam Sessions Podcast Network. You can follow us on Twitter at the Slam Sessions. We'll see you guys next time, and may the Force be with you.